Here.
Ted Pappas,
Here.
Rooth,
Here.
Dan Schroeder, Larry Stone,
Here.
Brian Anseeuw,
Here.
Donald Bell.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum, so we can conduct business. First order of business is minutes of the July 1st, 2014 general meeting. If everybody's had a chance to review them, could I have a motion to approve these?
So moved. Second.
Moving second, is there any discussion on minutes? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, next on our agenda is a 708 board presentation by Darren Beechner. Darren, would you like to?
Be happy to, Mr. Chairman. Thank you,
Okay.
sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm here representing the Mercer County 708 Board, and I just wanted to give you an update on our work and a little bit of information that might help guide us in the future. The 708 was a House bill passed in the state of Illinois back in August of 1976. It's a numerical term that identifies public funding recipients of community mental health facilities and substance abuse, focusing on substance abusers and developmentally disabled people. The board that I am a part of, and Mr. Haines is also on that board, we meet quarterly and we review and evaluate funding requests to receive public money from Mercer County. We take the money that you approve and we distribute it to those agencies. Currently, the agencies receiving Mercer County money for mental health are Genesis Medical Center here in Aledo, the Mercer County Family Crisis Center, Robert Young Mental Health Center in Rock Island County Council on Addictions in East Moline, Transitions Incorporated in Moline, and the Warren Achievement Center in Monmouth. Up until about 6 months or so ago, we also had funded the Mercer County Youth Services Bureau. But since that time, the coordinator of the Youth Services Bureau, which used to be in the basement of the courthouse, she has resigned/retired, and that board has stopped functioning. So we no longer have a Youth Services Bureau here in Mercer County. We have received an application from Henry County to offer Youth Services Bureau services in Mercer County. And before we considered that as a board, we wanted to make sure, one, that you knew we no longer had a Youth Services Bureau, and two, if there was anything that you would like us to know before we review that application. So basically, that's my update. I can answer any questions you might have. Yes, sir.
The money we give to Robert Young, I know usually when someone has a severe mental problem, police or relative may run them up there and they get them evaluated. Is that what that's paying for, basically?
Pretty much, yes, yeah.
And then the other thing was, Robert Young used to have a psychiatrist when we had criminal defendants who were possibly insane. They haven't had that for a while. We've had to send them out to like private psychology. Has that changed?
And not to my knowledge, sir. That was a couple of years ago, we had to approach that. They used to send somebody down to the hospital, and there would be counseling services there. Since the hospital's come under Genesis, I think that's changed a little bit. I'm not exactly sure why, but that's what I know.
As far as we know, at least I heard, there's no psychiatrist now at Robert Young that does mental evaluations.
That is true to my knowledge.
Thank you.
Thank you.
On the Youth Service Bureau, I was informed by some people in school districts that they didn't feel there was a real need for it anymore because they were handling most of that through the schools.
The schools are handling it, and I understand that the Crisis Family Center here in Aledo handles a lot of that workload as well, in talking with the people who run that.
So would this be kind of redundancy of services and that?
Potentially would. Henry County has offered to send somebody over here on a periodic basis. If they're going to provide the service, then we feel obligated to provide some kind of funding. But to my knowledge, what we have already can handle that.
Right, the present infrastructure in the community
Yeah.
to handle the problems.
But I'm not aware of any other that maybe we're not funding. So my purpose tonight was just to kind of update the
Okay.
708.
Yeah.
but also to present that to you, and if anybody had any thoughts on that, I'm happy to listen and follow your guidance.
Where did the funding come from before? I thought she used to go out and get donations.
Yeah.
Did the county actually?
On top of what she got from separate, she would go out
Yeah.
from township.
Yeah, I knew she used to go out and speak to people.
She would get approximately $1,500 from the county through the 708 funds as well. Most of the money that she depended on came from the communities.
Any more questions, Darren?
Okay, thank you,
Well,
sir.
Darren.
Thank you,
for
Mark.
your presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, going on next on our agenda is Mr. Ken Rakers, and wants to talk to us about forensic audit.
Recognize him
She's always here.
Uh-huh.
You know he's here, the speeder. What? They said you were speeders.
Well, I've been here a little earlier.
They hadn't been to that accident down the road here.
He uses your name too, Jeff.
I'm Ken Rakers, and I live here in Aledo. I've been here a long time. My background was audit with the state of Illinois for 30-plus years. Been retired now for quite a few. But my questions about the forensic audit, I brought up a little bit of that earlier, and I guess now that the state's attorney's here, he could address it. But I think the committee probably will. Is the fact if we do an audit, a forensic audit, we find more problems that this man stole money, will there be any further prosecution? Or is the statute run on what would happen there? That's kind of where I was coming from with this thing. I hate to see the county spend money on something that I see very little benefit coming back from. And people have expressed they want a clean slate for the new auditor, for the new treasurer. You have annual audits done on the books of the county, and to my knowledge, when those are done, the new person that comes in will have a clean slate. So I don't see that this will benefit having the person get a new or a clean slate. When this all broke a year or so ago, I came in and reviewed some of the prior audit reports of the county, and the auditors, in their comments and in their suggestions, made recommendations to the county board to take certain steps to correct some problems that may very well have caught this. I don't know that, but they may very well have. And to my knowledge, none of those things have been done. I mean, I went through several years. You folks are probably mostly new to the reports that I looked at, but I bet you if I went back and looked at last year's and the year before, I'd see the same comments pop up as to things that haven't been done in that office or in other funds of the county. And I would like to see you spend money instead of on a forensic audit of something that happened a few years ago to go forward and do some positive things to prevent this from happening in the future. I think your money would be much more well spent if you put in some of the practices that the auditors have recommended be done. So that's my piece with the forensic audit.
Do we have any questions?
I guess I'm a little bit confused, Ken, thanks. Ken had said the recommendations put forth by the forensic audit have not been completed yet. But then, in the finance meeting, wasn't Megan making the assumption that there was some misrepresentation on comments regarding possibly the completion of these recommendations that were set forth by the forensic audit? Now, Bev, you said all
Okay,
these
this
things.
wasn't forensic audit, we buried it.
Well, no, the recommendations.
The regular, you were talking about a regular audit, right? Yeah.
Regular audit.
Yeah, our annual.
Okay. Are these, have those all been completed, the recommendations from the forensic audit for
Not
Well, I
forensic.
have a handout. The regular audit, the
forensic-
regular audit or the forensic audit?
The forensic audit.
There wasn't recommendations made with the forensic audit.
Well, I mean, on the audit, they said
The
to
audit, yeah.
have three
53, did you say?
sets of eyes reviewing these things, so nobody handles one thing alone.
Ben,
Correct.
you wanna address this right now?
Well, I mean, I just have a handout for,
Yeah,
the
go ahead.
board to look at or the finance committee to look at and oversee and,
Jeff, do you wanna cover this now, or do you wanna cover it later?
Well, I don't know, it's up to you, the board, do you wanna speak on this now, or? Since Doc
Well, I
brought it
know,
up.
I know under 18, we were gonna talk about filling the position, and I'd like to defer, if Brian would be okay to defer.
Yeah, that's fine.
The comments
Okay.
till we get to 18,
That's
because
fine.
there's no
That's
reason
fine.
Or
to
did you
grind
want
through a
to
lot of
slow
time
down?
right now.
But at
Let's
least this
get
gives
through-
people a chance.
Sure.
Fred.
Thank you.
I would
and
like,
then Donnie and.
Greg, I would like you to answer Ken's question on prosecutory type of questions. If more was found, would the statute be gone? What is your thoughts there?
Ken raised some good points, and we know the forensic audits are expensive. I believe the last full one in the county clerk committed suicide was under $70,000. All over the 3 parts.
For like 92.
In any event, our problem is we have a convicted thief who for a long time had exclusive control of a lot of the money in the treasurer's office. We know he's a convicted thief, that's what we found so far. And I know we all want a clean slate. From what I understand, talking with the auditors and with treasurer's office people, over the past 12 months, they've put in place what was supposed to be there, at least from the forensic recommendations. So I don't think we're worried about anything very recent. I think the last, when Bertelson was in full control, there's some issues. And I keep telling, I told you by email, that my worry is Dixon by millions and millions, or even Sherrard with a couple $100,000.
That's right.
And it's our duty to protect the county. And obviously, we don't wanna spend $500,000 to forensic audit, but we do, I believe, have a duty to do some more intensive investigation with a convicted thief being our treasurer. My thought was that I asked the sheriff and the clerk's office, or the treasurer's office, which funds it might have exclusive control over, where no one else would even second sign on it, could second look at it. That doesn't exist anymore, but it did back then. And there's 14 accounts in the treasurer's office located that only Mike had control of. No accountability, no co-signing. And then there was one from the sheriff's department during 2004, 2009, which Bill Glancy notes there was some suspicious behavior, and his example was that when the sheriff went there to get money out of the inmate's phone account, Bertelson said something to the effect that, well, there's no money there now, we'll try again in a couple of days, which doesn't sound kosher. So in any event, I think we have to do, I believe, do something, that's what we recommended, as a way to possibly save money initially. Phyllis said we have a auditor now who works on forensic audits. Wouldn't be a full forensic audit, we could pick those, at least those disputed funds, the 15 funds where we had sole control, and I was thinking pick like 3 random years, and go over those accounts only initially, and see if there's suspicious behavior there, either 1 year, 2 year, 3 years. And if accounts you have full control over, there's nothing suspicious, then the board may not want to proceed further. But if they find anything at all, then the board should proceed. And if they come up with proof of a crime, we're gonna charge it, and we can charge it. There's extended limitations for this sort of behavior. So we will charge, we've charged him twice already, and it's a separate crime if he stole county treasury money. So I don't care what year it was, if we find that, we'll try it.
Greg,
Oh, there's the other, Jeff is too, he's worried about the money, obviously. I believe if we found he stole, if Mr. Wilson stole a lot of money, the bonding company at least would give us back probably $100,000, maybe $200,000.
okay. So we get reimbursed from the bonding company.
To a certain
Up
amount,
to
whatever his
about-
bond was.
Greg, at the finance committee meeting, we talked at length about this, and we went over your recommendations, and I think they're solid. What we decided was is that we would get a quote from McWhorter, and I also think we should get a quote from the other firm that you mentioned at the meeting, Jeff. And I think we need to bring that back to the board next month and take a look at it. But Greg, you're absolutely right. There was a lot of sentiment around the table that we really need to know, because, you know, is this the tip of the iceberg? If there's more things that he took, I think the county deserves to know it, and he should be charged. And if there is more, and our insurance can cover some of those losses, and that's money that otherwise we wouldn't be able to recover. And he's already paid back the $13,000 or whatever that was identified initially. And if that's all he took, then we've been made whole, other than for the cost of the forensic, first phase of the forensic audit. But if there is a lot more that he took, then we do have some insurance, and I think that's good. But I also, more than anything, I think we need that clean slate that I keep hearing mentioned. But I also think that we just have to get to the bottom of it. And again, I don't want to spend $500,000 like you said, Greg, but I think maybe there's somewhere in between that we can reach a balance and then see if there's suspicious activity and then move forward. I'm definitely concerned about the years 11 and 12. I think those are optimal years. If he clearly took from the Republicans in 12, there might have been cash issues, and he could have clearly took from the county. And talking to Phyllis after the finance committee meeting, she shed some light on some concerns about 11 because all the things happened at Fire Lake, that not everything got scrubbed to the level it needed to. That bothers me as well. Jeff, I'll turn it back over to you.
Ken, did you want to, you said you handed up.
The only other thing I would suggest the county do is every, maybe third or fourth year, hire a different CPA firm.
That's a great recommendation.
In my 30 years, I saw places that had the same people over and over and over, and I'll tell you what, they got too close. They got too close. Too many handshakes, too many pats on the back.
Too many golf rounds, too many rounds of golf.
And I'll tell you, you mentioned Dixon, there's no question. That woman had 100% trust of everybody in that city, and she had those auditors totally buffed. You know, now they come back and pay, they got caught. But you mentioned that those things happen. Over here at Sherrard and up there, those were not caught by auditors. They were not caught by auditors. That's correct. And then if you think about what started this, it wasn't caught by an auditor, I don't think either.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
When the Republican Party missed their money, that threw up the alert. There wasn't an auditor involved in that. Most of the time, it's a trust that gets these things going. And people, I mean, I trust a lot of people, but, you know, when they're handling money and nobody's double checking, and that's the problem you got with some of these funds. It's too easy.
You know, Jeff,
It's just too easy.
Ken's recommendation of switching auditors every 5 years is actually a federal recommendation from Sarbanes-Oxley. When the whole Enron thing hit, there's a lot of recommendations for governmental and not-for-profits. And one of those recommendations is that the auditors are changed every 5 years so that you break those relationships and
That's something we can address at a later time.
Ken, those are excellent points. Thank you for sharing.
Any more comments on this one? Okay, next on the agenda is Mr. Ron Schoon, about property tax. Ron?
Oh boy, yeah, pardon me if I don't stand, these titanium knees don't stand too well. In the state's attorney's own words in the previous forum, he said that, you know, if you have evidence of prosecuting, you know, felony and all that stuff, that, you know, they go after it, but it ain't happening. I've got 2 sheriff candidates here and the acting sheriff. I don't hear nothing back. I don't hear anything. And part of the thing was involved in a federal drug raid. So I don't see felonies committed here. As far as the property taxes go, and it was on the agenda that I put in, and they just left it off the thing. Bev Lower didn't answer the question I had about property taxes. But I did put down that I do have evidence of felonies being committed in this county that aren't being prosecuted. And I do have a copy of the paper that I filed. So next month, if you need, Jeff, I'll bring that in, and I'll bring all the proof. And I've already exposed the proof to one person.
See, it needs to be turned over to proper authorities, and who's that?
I've already done that.
Sheriff's Department. They've investigated.
Well, they're investigating, but you don't hear nothing back. That's the problem. You don't hear nothing back. You don't hear back from anybody. Investigators, you don't hear back from any sheriff, you don't hear back anything. And I just wonder how many other felonies are being committed in this county and not prosecuted. So,
Okay.
that would be enough said for me. Folks, thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ron.
Yep. I'll be back next month with the paperwork.
Okay.
look forward to it.
I don't I don't, Dave, I don't know.
I know what he's talking about, and
I don't-
it has
I've only been
been,
on the phone with him for hours.
Yeah.
yeah, it
Well,
has
I don't know
been.
why he brought us up. We don't
Has
have
been
any
answered.
authority to prosecute felony, or at least I don't, so I don't know why he's pointing at me.
Hours.
Huh?
So apparently it's
No,
being
I
investigated.
I don't.
Okay. On law enforcement, Mr. Haines.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Minutes are emergency funding, agreement to motion,
Oh, wait, we got a motion, it's been motion to approve the minutes, is there a second?
I second it, yeah.
Okay, moved and seconded, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, next one, 911.
911 agreement, motion to approve.
So moved.
I second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the 911 agreement. Is there any discussion on this? Seeing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, next,
Intergovernment agreement with the Village of Joy, motion to be approved.
Been moved
Second.
and seconded. Is there any discussion on this? Seeing none, all in favor of the intergovernment agreement with Village of Joy, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you. Transportation, I guess it's up to me now. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the 7/23 to 14 meeting and the 8/5 to 14 meeting.
So moved.
Moved, second, moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on these minutes? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the minutes, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, Jimmy, we need a agreement to approve the phase 1 and 2 engineering agreement for culvert replacement project along CH 12 at North Henderson Creek. Do I have a motion to approve this?
I make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
The moved and seconded, Gary's made the motion and Donnie seconded. Is there any discussion on this? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Passed. Next, I'd like a motion to approve the joint agreement. Okay. Joint agreement for federal participation of various routes pertaining to emergency 2013 flood. I'll make this motion.
Second.
Seconded, motion seconded. Is there any discussion on this? Seeing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Should we go down, Bill? Okay. Next, I'd like to make a motion for the joint agreement for federal participation supplement number 2, section 5, culvert replacement project along CH 12 North Henderson Creek.
That's correct, that is joint agreement.
First one says, what, Jimmy?
The very first one is agreement between, us and Villa Coleman, our
That was the
consulting.
engineering agreement.
The last one we just spoke about is the agreement for us to get funded by federal. It's agreement between us and the federal.
Okay, so one was for the engineering, one for the work.
That's correct.
Okay. Then, did we make the motion second? Okay, can I ask for a motion for this?
So moved.
A second? Moved and seconded. Any discussion on this after Jimmy clarified it? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Same sign opposed. Seeing none, passed. Okay, on animal control with Mr. Rooth.
I'd like to make a motion to approve minutes for the July 22nd, meeting of the animal control. Do I hear a second?
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay. Good to get the contract now.
Okay.
It's there on
for the city of Aledo, animal control for the city of Aledo.
Okay, being probably moved and seconded, any discussion on this? Seeing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes. Okay, on to public health, Mr. Anseeuw, right?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve the meeting of January 22nd, Mercer County Health Department.
I second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, all in favor of approving the minutes, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, on to property. Larry.
We discussed, in your packet on the Mercer County, the senior citizen center needed to move up, and there was some discussion on it. And what we came up with, since the majority of the usage was from Aledo, that we would just basically deed the building over to Aledo, and they would use tip money to put everything together. Over it, just need approval of the minutes and a second.
We moved and seconded, so that's the minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, it's moved and seconded, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
On this senior citizens, is this something we need to have a motion set for next, we can't redo it tonight, can we, Greg, since we don't have it for meetings over?
You should have it.
It's on the agenda.
Okay, I'm sorry, I've seen it down there, okay. Thank you. Going on to insurance now. Wait, okay.
McWhorter Cemetery, what's going on there?
McWhorter Cemetery is being maintained by a neighbor now.
Yeah. Research and construction burials and all that. Are they gonna be able to do that?
That's ongoing, I believe. Is that a nice way of saying it? Haven't talked to anybody yet?
Well, we asked Gregg to write up an opinion on
Yeah,
that.
we've done a lot of discussion, but we haven't came up with anything.
I don't know if the county wants to get in the cemetery business, there's a lot of rules and regulations and committees.
If you have it, you don't have a choice.
We close, at some point, we close.
I mentioned that and nobody was real receptive to that. You weren't at that meeting, so I apologize.
What you're saying is we could close it,
It's our land,
Here's the problem.
whose land?
it's the county's land, people can visit, but we don't have to open up for more burials. And if we did, we'd have to set up a special committee and commission to run the cemetery, which you can do,
Yeah,
it's lots of hoops.
and I briefed them on that at the last meeting. The problem that you have is, number one, it's still an active cemetery as far as we can tell. Number two is, I know there's some people out there that are gonna wanna be buried there. There's one lady out there, whose husband is buried there, and I'm sure she's gonna wanna, I don't wanna tell this lady that we're closing the cemetery and you can't be buried by your husband. I don't wanna tell her, I'm not gonna tell her. I'm not telling her.
Good move.
Stay away. That's what I think probably happened, don't you?
What?
Well, George approached the township and they said they wanted nothing.
As long as we don't,
We don't need
as long as we have, we both of them, it'll be interesting to them.
My argument is, you know, I guess I protect my district, but, you know, our taxes pays for 9 cemeteries to upkeep and everything else. I sure anyhow don't think it's right for us to go down and take another one on.
But by us closing, it doesn't necessarily mean we're not gonna take responsibility for maintaining it. It just means we're not gonna bury anybody in it.
Well, when you
Not
ask
gonna
for-
sell
When you ask for $1,000 a month to maintain it, for $1,000 a year to maintain it, we have the right to say no, let it grow for weeks. I mean, is that correct? I mean, I don't wanna be
That's what I
heartless,
think the
but
township will decide to take over.
I think it's their
As
responsibility.
long as we maintain it, they're not going to, but if we say we're gonna close it, they will,
No, I think
I
so.
think.